So after sifting through the tape, how did everything play out for you?
Well, first of all, I didn't sift through that tape. I'm just joking. I was about to say I burned it. No, well, there were some good things that we did, but there are quite a few things that we need to work on, that we need to continually work on. You know, everyone who has stood here has said that, and the fact that our guys played hard, and the fact that they kept going, and the fact that they did things that they might not have believed that they could do against the number 4 team in the country. Well, that's not good enough. That's not good enough for us as a staff, and we want continually for it not to be good enough for them and not to be even good enough for our fans. But it's like Coach Craddock said about the offense. Defensively, we know the things that we have to work on. There are no hidden gems. So we're going to get back to work this week. Nobody likes to lose. You're hurt for the whole time until you're able to get out there and play again. So having an opportunity to come out and practice today to at least ease a little bit of the pain until we get an opportunity to go out and show our wares on Saturday is going to help our team.
You're a secondary guy. What do you think of the secondary?
Oh, man. I always say that I grade them harder than any other group. So they did not play well at all. But it's game one, and we can't define them by one very poor game. And they know what things they need to work on to be better. And we're going to go out today and throughout this weekend and continually throughout the season. I look at a guy like Jordan Wyatt, and Jordan Wyatt, this is his first game to play college football. Now, he's been around the campus for a while, but the first game to play, college football. So as hard as I want to be on them, I have to also, realize some things as we keep moving forward. So that's one game, and we are going to continually work to get them better.
Is it hard for you to, the moral victory type thing? You guys played well, I think a lot of people would say, but I'm sure, all you can find is false, I'm sure.
I don't care anything. The only thing I care about is at the end, and the only thing that people really care about is at the end. Did you win? Did you lose? Right. What was your record at the end? That's all we know, is that this team was a 1-11 team, but we don't know anything about the great academic accomplishments they had. We don't know anything about all the things that they might have overcome through the season. Nobody really cares about that. Now, honestly, we care about a lot of those things as we're in the program, but we talk to our team about moral victories. They don't serve a lot, because those pats on the back, they go away very quickly, when that person walks away sometimes. So you're supposed to play hard, right? You're supposed to fight. You're supposed to do those things. That's a part of it. So there's no consolation for us if we don't win the game. Who we play against, it doesn't matter. Just like it didn't matter before we started the game. We did some things offensively, defensively, special teams that didn't put us in great position to win. We had mental errors, and I say that, but then I say, there's a lot of guys playing their first game. They're playing in a new system. They're playing against the number 4 team in the country. A lot, the talent. Who cares about that? So. But that game is over. That's the greatest thing about it, is that it's over, and that we can move forward and begin to prepare for the next game. And will there be mistakes in the next game? There probably will be, but our team in all 3 phases is committed to playing much better than they played in game 1. Coach Morris talks about it, and I've heard many other coaches talk about the improvement from game 1 to 2 to 3. Those things should happen, and that's what we're our culture. the starts with me mentality. It started with Coach Morris, and it starts with us as coaches, and it flows right on down to our teammate, to our team. Is that everyone is looking at what they could have done better, and that's one of the first things when I talk to the defense. I talk to them about a couple calls. I won't tell you what they were, but a couple calls that I made that I probably shouldn't have made this call. And I'm honest with them to tell them that everybody's making mistakes, right? Everybody. It's not just about your missed tackle. Now, the call that I made, we actually were in pretty good position, but I know I shouldn't have made that call. We actually tackled them for like a 2-yard gain, but I probably that wasn't the best call for that situation. So there's mistakes that we make that the cover's taken off and they make a big gain, and then there's mistakes that maybe don't show up as much. And what we want to do as a defense is we want to eliminate as many of those mistakes as we can, because you just never know which one is a game changer or which one holds us back from making a game-changing play.
You had some guys playing positions other than those where they were recruited. Shaq is at star, Zach Woods inside. I think Mason Gentry was recruited as an end. He plays inside. What do you think about the way those guys did?
Well, the same thing. It's just the first time, like Shaq came in, he missed a tackle. That's going to be a process, right? We talked to them about the fact that the game, the season, it's all a process. When you play your first game, when you coordinate your first game versus the number 4 team in the country versus a highly explosive offense, you got to be right. You got to be dead on. And, we were not on every play. But as I look to the future for those guys, I'm encouraged. Yeah, I'm encouraged by what we saw.
You talk about the young players playing their first game. This was your first game as a coordinator. What did you think about the communication between you and your other coaches upstairs and what they saw?
Well, those guys, we've worked together before, so having Buddy Wyatt and Archie and Coach Lip, those guys have made this an easy flow for me. So on game day, we've been together before, so it's just we just kind of jumped right back in the boat together. So that was pretty much a seamless transition.
Personnel-wise, do you see any changes in the 2D?
Well, what we're trying to do is, we heard that there's an NFL strike coming, and we're going to try to get some of those guys. I'm just joking.
That's good. I like that.
No, the guys that we're playing with, they're our guys, and it's just one game, and there's enough mistakes to really go around. We could loan some to each other, but no, we feel like the personnel and the guys that we had out there are the ones. There were no significant injuries, so it gives us a great opportunity to continue to get better at the places that we are.
Coach Morris said there's going to be a focus this week on tackling because of missed tackles on Friday night. Is that a technique thing, or is that an effort getting in the right spot thing? What did you see the most on missed tackles?
Well, when you tackle, one of the fundamentals of tackling is you got to put your body on his body. Now he has to cooperate. He can't move his body while you're trying to put your body on his body. So you'll see guys a lot of times they'll arm tackle, or guys will make contact and they don't finish, because another part of tackling is you have to wrap him and you have to run your feet. As you grab cloth, you have to run your feet. Well, if you got a good, strong back, then that guy's going to spin. That guy's going to break free of you. If you just leave your feet, now you're leaning on him. You have no control on the tackle. Tackling is about feet, is about contact, and is about control. Well, we just didn't put them all together. All 3 of those phases, all those parts, we didn't put them together. Well, we've practiced tackling quite a bit. Game 1, when you're nervous, when you are operating with a guy who's moving quickly, sometimes you don't get a chance to put all those phases into it. So it's something just like coverage, just like playing the ball in the air, you get better at it more and more. Now, we've never had them tackle full speed but in a game, not had them do that, right? So we have to continue to work the technique, continue to accelerate the speed at which we do it. Now, our backs on scout team, they'll never look like the backs that we face on Saturday. So there comes some learning, some responsibility from players on defense that they have to, okay, I have to make sure that I clock this into my memory. It's going to be faster, and I got to do it exactly the way I do it, I do it at practice. So there'll be continued emphasis on that, but that's something that we're going to practice tackling. We're going to practice creating turnovers every day. But it's like practicing. If you're a member of a band, you practice in your garage, and then you go out here on the stage. It's gotta be on point every single time, especially when you're playing with the opponents that we just faced. And these coming up next week or this week.
How much do you talk to your team about the North Texas game last year?
Well, we won't. I say we won't a little bit because like Cortland talked about, the energy that they had. How will you be different? And whatever you did last season, how will you be different? Yes, a new defense, yes, a new offense, new coaches, but how will you as an individual be different? I don't know. Some kids, they don't always get into, they beat us last year, so we're going to beat them. They don't always. Last year's team for North Texas was different than this year's team. And I think that our guys have to approach them all the same way, with a tremendous amount of energy, with an understanding that if you don't play your best, just like when you play Baylor, if you don't play your best, if you give them things, they're going to take advantage of you. And they'll get the edge in the game. So that'll always be our focus, is that we're going to focus more on ourselves, because we got a lot to focus on. Focus more on ourselves than last year or even North Texas. Yes, schematically we want to know what they do. Personnel-wise, we want to know what they do. But we need to make sure that we have ourselves mastered before we focus on some things that when the game starts, who cares about what happened last year? You got to deal with this tight end who's screaming down your neck, or this running back who is carrying the football.
That said, do you have to look at their games from last year to get an idea?
Well, because they
of
have
how you're going to scheme.
Well, they haven't played a game.
Yeah.
So, like Joe said, it gets to be a little bit difficult, but they're going to play. They got the same guys on offense, so you think that it's going to be close to what they've done in the past. Now, their personnel changes just a little bit. They have some guys who are new playing in positions, so we have rules for everything that we do, every formation that our guys can face. So more than have to know what North Texas is going to do, which, like I said, we could predict that they're going to do what they did last season. So we're definitely watching every one of their games and trying to put these new people into those positions that people were in last year. The quarterback's coming back, tight ends coming back, a couple of receivers, the centers coming back, offensive line. They had a couple guys who rotated in there. So that seems like the core of guys which will allow you to keep the offense the same. So they fit from an offense some of the things that we do defensively, and we just got to make sure that our guys understand what we're supposed to be doing, more so than too much worry about exactly what they're going to be doing.
So with that in mind, looking at last year's games, what concerns you the most about their offense, or what do they appear to do best?
Well, I think that, you look at last year's offensive line. I was about to say, last year's offensive line, they were a mobile unit, did a really good job of pulling and getting the ball on the edges. They got one of the running backs is coming back, and he does a good job of getting the ball on the edges. But then they also are a downhill, when they choose to do so, are a downhill, physical running team. So for us, having the opportunity to play that kind of team as a coach who can't get out there and play anymore, I really like that, you know. It requires your team to be physical. It requires your team to attack at the point. So we're excited about pumping that into our guys' heads. But then also, because they do a good job with the quarterback of throwing those seam balls, we got to do a good job, make sure we do a good job in coverage with that secondary that we talked about. Because if they go and watch the game, they're going to look and say, well, how can we attack these guys in the secondary? And that'll be a challenge for us, because in college football, when you show weakness, everybody wants to see when you're going to get it solved. When are you going to get that problem solved? So we'll challenge our guys in that way with tackling, playing the ball in the air, and being on those receivers very tight in your coverage.